Hello folks, Killface and Baylor here. Sorry, it's going to be a little bit hard to figure out what you can see and what you can't. I set you up based on seeing the boards behind me, not on where I'd be standing. I'm not wearing the trench coat today, although it might go well with a video like this. It's pretty hot out and I wanted to just kind of wear the things I could wear in normal 5-pocket jeans. The sword's not super normal for the 5-pocket jeans. And these are both costume pieces. I do have a sword that would probably be a little bit better for this, but I don't want to risk the damage to it, and there's already been a bit of damage to the larger of the two swords. Okay, so I wanted to talk a bit about a knife throwing technique, partially as feedback. VR, I believe it's been mentioned repeatedly that people want to see knife throwing, and as with most of my physical demos feedback, that would be cool, but obviously it's not at the top of the priority pile. For those of you interested in just seeing me do ridiculous things, here you go. And for those of you who have any interest in actually learning to throw the pocket knife you carry with you every day, this is my preferred technique for that. I am not a great thrower. I'm kind of a noob. However, on the upside, if I can do it, so can you. This doesn't take a lot of practice, but it does take a little bit of practice. Also, bear in mind, you're learning this from a gaming video channel, so yeah. This is extremely dangerous. Don't ever do it without adult supervision. This is terrible for your knives and will probably destroy them. Get designated throwing knives, get designated instruction, but this is the technique I more specifically use. This is being shown as entertainment and feedback, not an instructional video, although I will tell you what I'm doing so that you can understand both when I succeed and when I fail what's going on. Okay, so there are some knives that are too small and light to end up sticking in a decent wood target, so those won't be covered much today. I do have a couple of them on me, but they are too small and light. Be aware if your target is too dense, your small and light knives just don't have the energy to go in. Okay, so hopefully you've been able to see all that. Here we go. The grip, right? What you're used to is this. Right? Or this, or this, and then it rotates. I'm going to do a no spin throw primarily. I will cover the basics of the rotational throw just a little bit. I don't know that your view will be perfect, but I'll try. All right. So the main grip I'm going to be using is this one here, right? And what I'm doing is I'm making a cup out of my fingers. I'm laying the knife along my social finger, and then my index finger and ring finger are coming to either side of it, like so, and my thumb goes next to my index finger. Now, I'm going to swing the knife either along horizontally or vertically until I reach my intended target, then I'm going to pick up my thumb. That will reduce the pressure on the knife and should let it slide along my fingers to its intended target. The shape of your knife can drastically change this. Also, as we'll cover with a couple of the knives, if the weights are different from one side to the other. Metal scale, plastic scale. If you have something like this, you may find that you have to have a particular side up. Maybe you have to throw it this way. Maybe you have to throw it this way, right? Or switch to left hand, right? This should be doable left hand, although I don't think I'm going to demo any left-handed throwing. So with that, I'm going to do two things. Thing one, I'm going to get a good idea of what the rangefinder can actually see, and then thing two, I will actually throw some knives for you, so give me just a moment. Okay, so it doesn't actually show me the full extent of what it can see. However, if you're just learning this technique or any technique, try to use a fixed blade knife, preferably a longer and heavier one than this, but oh well, because it's going to be sturdier, right? Or, maybe you have some of those old trash kitchen knives. This one's too light as well, but, it'll work. And then you go close. Some of these will stick into this board, which is a bit denser. Some of them will not, and I'll throw them here, or I'll try to do both. Now, be aware, if I start here and throw this as hard as I can, it's going to bounce back and stab me. For those of you who don't think that'll happen every time, that's fine. But if it happens one time, that's one stab too many. So, don't do this at home, right? Because you're going to stab yourself. There are some ways around it, but as I said, this is not an instructional nearly as much as it is, for your entertainment and for the feedback that even in 5-pocket jeans, I can carry a decent number of knives. So something like a knife throwing skill makes sense. I mean, come on, we can have an entire herd of horses in our bag, but there's no knife throwing skill. Okay, so that may happen. What that is me misaiming, right? And that's why we need backups. And also, I find that because I don't practice this all the time, it works less often than I'd like it to. There we go. Missed the board, but you heard the thump. It stuck into the backdrop behind it. Be very aware of your backdrop. That was a locking folding knife. This will wreak havoc on your folding knives. Don't do it. This one has no lock. Just a standard, tiny, light, everyday carry knife, and so it tends to bounce off more. And eventually we'll do a second flight of some of these. This one is 2 ounces on a good day and has a terrible tip, so it's going to bounce off, right? And you'll notice a lot of these are fails. My percentage of success should go up as we go on, but we'll see. Maybe not. It was up earlier. Nope. Instead, we're going to have one failure after another. And when you start introducing heavier knives, your success should go up just a bit because you have the weight to actually get them to stick, right? And all I'm trying to do is make sure that these don't ricochet back and hit me. You see how a lot of them ricocheted off, but none of them came back and hit me because I'm being more gentle than I feel is needed for the range that I'm at. Right, so we have 2 stuck. Oop, and I hit one of the ones that was stuck there. That's not good for your knives either, by the way. A little bit more size. Let's go for the larger one. Oop. Nope. Not going to happen. This is a much harder throw. But I got it to stick. And you see how it works across a wide range of sizes. Right? This one's long but quite light, and so it should fly strangely. Yes, and didn't stick. Right? And the big thing you want here is the ability to throw a lot of times. This one's shorter, but heavier. Oh, and still, I messed it up. And also, you can expect this should do damage to decent knives, so be aware of that. Like that. That's very terrible for your knives. That one hit okay and would have stuck if it was heavier, but it's very light. That one stuck. That was a terrible throw. All right, so we're going to leave the one that doesn't look like it's going to stick at all. We're going to discern which of the knives we would like to rethrow that have not stuck yet. As I said, this is very bad for your knives, and a couple of the knives I'm throwing are quite expensive. And you can see this works with a variety of knives. Right? Or here's one that many of you will have access to. We'll see if I can stick it again. I've definitely done it before, but I don't know if I can do it again. Swiss Army knife, right? Not a tiny one, not a huge one. Now, the danger with something like that, you see how it came back at me, but it didn't stick. It's light, and I actually need to go closer to get it to stick. But I also need to be very careful that it doesn't bounce back and destroy me. So, let's see, maybe a heavier Swiss Army knife. This is my everyday carry, so not a huge fan of throwing it, but I'm not epically against it either. This knife is actually my mother's, and a limited edition. She might hate me for this. I hope not. We'll see. You see, it hit the larger board and didn't stick. So we're going to throw the lighter knife from a little bit closer to try to get it to stick. That did okay, I think, but again, didn't stick. Too too light. This is a little bit heavier than the last one I threw, but still quite light and not very pointy. Nope. Anyway, that's that technique. You'll notice my percentages are pretty low. I pretty much never practice this. And there are some things I can do to up the percentage a little, but overall, I just don't spend enough time throwing knives to get a decent amount of ROI. Right, I just don't invest very much time into this, and you can see I've still managed to stick a wide variety of things. We'll cover the spin throw variation in a little bit of depth, and also another variation on the no spin option. Now, you got to be careful, as you can see, once you're holding enough open knives. The one I just closed is an automatic. It might jump out at me and bite me if I'm not careful. So you want to make sure that you're just respectful of the fact that these things will cut you if they're decently sharp and you start basically juggling them all in one hand. All right, now let's look for a second at another no spin technique, and this is another thing where you're going to have to get kind of close to get it to actually stick, but you have to be careful that you're not bouncing it back in your face. I recommend throwing it too lightly first. That's how I started, into a very, very soft wood target, a white pine or something maybe, poplar, something like that. And then now, instead of doing the grip you've seen before, where you lay it along the middle finger, we're going to push with the index finger, and I'll show you why on that in a minute. Oh, that was a halfway decent throw, except that I hit the wrong piece of wood. So let's try that same thing with the larger board. Nope, failed. Okay. The angle has changed, and as you can see, my ability to throw has gone out the window. There we go. That's more like it. This is useful on an even wider range of knives, although it takes a little bit more practice in my opinion. But it's much more useful with something as it starts to get bigger and heavier, because you can use this grip instead of this grip to hold it, right? This is hard. This is easy. All I'm going to do is push with that finger. Same thing here, right? If I'm starting to look at throwing swords, this is the wrong way to do it. But I can still get them to move. Okay. And the big thing is it lets me throw a wide variety of things pretty effectively. Sorry I'm spending all this time picking up knives. Be aware that the fewer knives you have, the more time you'll spend picking them up, and the less time you'll spend throwing them. Okay, spin throws. Also, notice how my rebound area is dirt. If I were rebounding in the gravel, like I just set my knives in the gravel, when they came down, I might lump the tip. So this is more what you're used to seeing, right? Where you take this and throw it that way. I'm going to use it, I don't even know if you saw that. I'm going to do the spin variation with this fixed blade. It's a bit lighter, not quite as sharp. Hang on, there's some gigantic bug, and I want to make sure that it doesn't want to kill me before I continue throwing knives at it. Not quite to the area of throwing knives to get bugs out of the air. I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm not a fan of stinging insects. I don't know what that is, but it's gigantic. My depth perception doesn't work right, so anyway. Okay, that's stuck, but it's stuck in the board behind. You can't see it because of the shadow. What that tells me is I'm the right distance for that board, but it means I'm probably not the right distance for this board. The spin, right, is all about distance. If you're slightly too close, you're going to hit kind of flat. If you're slightly too far, you're going to hit flat the other way, right? right? If I hit this way, it's over-rotated. I need to step back. That's not right. I need to step forward so that right here, before it did this, becomes right here. It does this and then tries to turn. If, on the other hand, it hits here, right? So it's done this and hits here. Now I need to step back so that it can finish turning and do this. Now, it's a little dependent on the size of your knife, but you'll develop a feel for it. As I said before, I don't practice this nearly enough. And you'll see that that board has no problem feeding my knife back to me, so be careful of that. Ah! That was just a lousy throw. And one of the things that you can do is take out a half rotation by, instead of throwing it here, throw it here. So that over-rotated, which means if I want to do a half throw from here, I actually need to be even closer. There we go. And you see how I can see from one throw whether I need to go forward or backwards. Now, I won't perfectly do it because I'm not great, but eventually your body will get a feel for it. And you won't have to do that. So it hit flat means I'm still too far. There we go. And that's a spin version, but it's a spin version too close to have a spin. If we walk back out of frame, that looked a little too far to me. And that wasn't far enough. Now my eyes don't work well, so some of you may be able to see this better than me, I don't know. Ah! No, I'm losing it. Anyway, let's do the same thing here. Whoa. Okay. You can see I'm doing slow, lazy throws. It's gentler on the knives, less likely to kill me. So that was just a bad throw overall. But we're going to switch to throwing it by the blade from a similar distance. Nope. I'm wondering if with this method I need to pick the stronger target. Yes, I do. I need to be a little bit farther back. One of these days I'm sure I'll snap the tip off this or a handle off and you'll get some entertainment from that. That's part of the reason I'm using this one. There you go. So all that is me changing the distance. And now I know, right, that I need to be that distance or about, I don't know, 6 or 7 inches closer. Whoa. And that was me being inaccurate. I don't throw well, right? There we go. That was basically a perfect distance. Now I'm picking up a slightly smaller knife, but we'll try the same thing. Now when I pinch this, I pinch it so that the edge is away from my hand because I just feel more comfortable that way. That one, over-rotated. This one's light and long. It's going to fly long too. You'll notice a lot of these are unlocking. This is too light to stick, but we're going to throw it anyway. Oh, got it. And all that was basically pitching it as hard as I could because, or a lot harder than I've pitched the others anyway, because I didn't think it would stick. And that was the wrong distance because the knife is the wrong size. I'm not moving on these, but the knife size and how hard I'm throwing it is talking to me. So that went this way. I actually need to be closer on this one. That was a better throw. You can hear from the sound. We'll try. Let's see if I can find a Swiss Army knife in here. And we'll try doing a spin throw with a Swiss Army knife into the softer wood. If we can. That target's at a weird angle, so it's a little hard to hit. That was too far. I actually need to be a little bit closer. I can also back up, but I'm trying to go closer or farther depending on which one's going to be not make me add or subtract a rotation. That was to miss. This one won't stick necessarily because it's too light and too blunt, but we're going to try. I think it needs to be here. Anyway, you get the idea. It's going to take some practice. You've seen me stick a couple, and there are people on the internet who are not simply setting up a target and doing this once in a blue moon. So you can watch someone good at it do it after this if you'd like. That one's too light. Anyway, you get the picture. I find that it's significantly easier, if shorter range, to use some of these other techniques. Right? And as your body gets a feel for the push, it should get a little bit better. So that was just literally bad throwing technique. And that was not so much bad throwing technique. Well, it was, but it wasn't quite as sloppy. That was just me being bad. So let's try the index push. We'll index push this one. Nope. One of the problems with leaving the knives in there is sometimes you'll hit your own knives. Oh well. Well, that's not going to work. Nope. And I just have to get a lot more momentum behind this if I want it to stick in there. Like that. Problem is, if I miss, it's going to come back at me significantly harder. Notice, by the way, this lock came undone. That's bad for the lock. It's probably deforming the lock. This is a particular cheap knife. I might lose some pocket clip screws here if I'm not careful. There you see it deflected off the board and still stuck. And all that was having enough momentum behind it that it didn't want to move off course. Right? That one should not have unlocked, so it hit pretty hard. That was probably pretty bad for the knife. That one's too light to stick in that board, but we were going to try it anyway. Now all we want to know, yeah, we have play in directions we really shouldn't have, but oh well. And we have a chip off the G10 scales. Ah! Oh well. So these buck knives are not good for throwing. Here we go. That was a spin variation. So anyway, hope you enjoyed that. That should give you a feel for some different throwing techniques and something to laugh at. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. I did a bit of damage to my knife collection so that I and hopefully some of you could have some fun. So do pass it along to people you might you think may get a chuckle out of it. Don't forget to subscribe and feel free to join us on the official Killface band. If you'd like to request anything, whether it be more of these sort of things or Celtic Heroes related gameplay, do subscribe and invite other people to, as we will continue to do giveaways as we hit large milestones for the channel or other things like that. And yeah, do leave feedback in the comments. I'm always as active there as I can be, and I should be uploading a new video every day. If I miss one, I'll try to do makeup videos and post double the following day. No, not facial makeup. That's no one is ready for that. The closest I'm going to get to that is mustache wax, which today I'm carrying Amish beard wax. It's actually available at your local Walmart, and it's one of my favorite waxes that I've tried, despite being relatively cheap and available at Walmart. So anyway, yeah, feel free to post any questions or comments you have, and I will see you tomorrow with another video. Goodbye.